Alright everybody, so we've got a Atoto S8. This is the premium Gen 2, I believe. And this is in a 05 Escalade with a pack OS2X module for the Bose and OnStar and all that. And trying to get the steering wheel controls has been nothing but problematic. We were using the green and white wire that normally goes to like an SWIX or an SWIPS or anything like that to try and get steering wheel controls to work, but because they rest at a resistance rather than resting at an open circuit, it was causing all sorts of havoc with trying to program this guy. So I think this module, because it doesn't have a external module on top of that, made everything a little more complicated. So if we would have used maybe like an SWIPS module or something else that had a resistance value that was open when there was no button pushed, we probably would have been fine. But we have a customer that is leaving here tomorrow, which will be Sunday, and trying to get one of those modules in a hurry would not work. They also don't have OnStar anymore, so we're not really worried about the OnStar functionality. So what we did is I've got the data here, if I can find my paperwork. It's down here on the floor. Sorry about my video skills here. These are obviously amazing. So we got our wiring diagram and the light green and the dark blue here at the BCM that go through the spiral cable up into the switches, and you can see that none of these switches are basically active or closed at any time unless they are pressed. And the only one, the voice one, is the only one that activates OnStar, but if you've got OnStar up on the mirror, it doesn't really matter. So you can still use OnStar if you actually have it. The only thing you won't have is volume control of the actual OnStar, but you can do that through the pack module with a momentary switch if you absolutely have to. So normally this dark blue wire gets a power, and then it goes through the resistance, and then goes back through to the BCM. The BCM then turns it into serial data and sends it to the radio itself, which is over here. So that also doesn't tie in. Those buttons don't tie into the actual odometer or the engine oil life or the information or the vehicle settings or anything like that. All of those buttons down here still work. It's just these top 8 that are affected. So what we did is, and this is still just for testing, so it's a little crude. Get my light down here. So we've got the first connector over, the gray one. We've got, that would be pin A2. It's a dark blue, and we have it just hooked to ground right now. And then on the next one over, which is brown, we have the green wire, which is A7, hooked up to, come back up here, hooked up to the, I believe this is a brown and black, which is the steering wheel key positive without the pound sign. And then this one was the steering wheel signal or steering wheel key with the pound sign. So this one's left open. Now I've looked at some of the other manuals and stuff for the S8 or the A6 and some of the other radios, and they do a slightly different method for programming, and I'll try to do this with one hand. So if we go into steering wheel control setup, we've already got these learned, so I'm going to clear these out, and if I hit one of the buttons, I'll give it a second here, make sure everything didn't actually come unhooked. Okay. Sometimes we have to clear it, hit save and exit, go back in. This interface is not exactly the greatest thing on the planet. There we go. So if I hit any button, as soon as I hit the button, let me back up here, you can see that it says select one of the items below. So what you have to do, let me turn the wheel here so I can actually, there we go. Now they're actually close enough. You hit volume up, and while you're hitting volume up, you actually have to hit, oops, this is very difficult with one hand, there we go. So hit that, hit volume up, and it saves it. and then same thing, volume down, and then we'll go seek next, seek down, and then so on and so forth. So we'll save and exit, and then if we hit, oops, this is very clumsy with the, there we go, volume up, oops. Of course we have to be on an actual source for this to work here, so let's go over to radio, play the radio just so it does something. Oops, and my wire came loose. Hold on guys, give me a second, let me fix that and I'll get back. Okay, and we're back. So volume up, volume down, seek. Oh, it's beeping, but it's not seeking just because if we go to Bluetooth music here, it's hooked up to my phone. So and there we go. We got music here. We got seek. So everything seems to work. And then normally we can do source up, source down, and then program. Normally I'll do source up as next source. I'll do program as mute, and then you can leave source down to whatever the customer wants. So after fighting with this thing for 4 or 5 hours, trying to figure it out, I just went old school, tapped in directly to the wires at the steering wheel controls themselves. And again, you won't have the OnStar button here, but if you hit OnStar up here,
hello, I'm Beth Williams, an advisor. OnStar request.
OnStar still works. So hopefully this helps somebody out with a S8 and a GM. This should work on all GMs from 2003 and upwards, as far as getting the controls to work if you can't get them to work with an Access or a PAC module or a Metro module, anything like that. So anyways, I'm going to clean all this mess up and get back to work.